With Bethesda and Obsidian now being under the same Microsoft umbrella, has that opened up more opportunities for collaborations like New Vegas? And I'll stop you right there, Todd. We all saw the headlines. You hate New Vegas. You hate Obsidian. You've retconned them out of the timeline. It just doesn't exist. So you don't even have to answer this question if you don't want to.
First, I'll say they did an amazing job with New Vegas. And we see some of that. And I'll say to everybody, like, that's a game that we published, right? So it's also kind of, yeah. And I would say Fergus, who runs Obsidian, is absolutely one of my favorite people in the video game industry. And he's been around for so many decades, has done so many things, and has seen it all. So they do a fantastic job. I can't speak to things that we're doing with the franchise in the future, obviously. But New Vegas is a very, very important game to us and our fans. We think they did an incredible job. And if anything, the show is leaning into, right, the events there.
Just a bit by that final shot of the show. Yeah, just a bit is leaning in.
Yeah. And obviously, season 2 is going to be featuring some of New Vegas. And we're careful about, maintaining the key events of that game and the great content in it. It is obviously difficult to deal with when you're going back to an area where a game had multiple endings.
Yep.
We have some answers there, but it's hard. It is, I'll just admit, everybody realizes it's hard to sort of canonize or say this is exactly how that game ended. And so whenever we can, I like to avoid it. Like, don't refute anything that happened. Be careful when you're specific about what happened. Just like, we want that game and what the players did to be their reality and true.
And I feel like that's got to be tough, right? Because again, playing any of your games, but Fallout for this example, right, is about that personal experiences, the choices you made, who you went with, what you did with Megaton, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so, yeah, I feel like you get to those points and you have to leave it ambiguous enough. And again, that's the power of being in a new setting, but then the constraints, I guess, of being in the game world, which, again, I give you guys credit for.
And I said we do it with every series. We're into it with Elder Scrolls as well, which has a ton of lore and things that happened or didn't happen. Whenever you come to a new game in a franchise that has existed a long time, this is not unique to us, right? You can look at other franchises. Like, where do you draw the line between what's true and what's not true? And what we tend to do is the most truthful thing is what people saw on the screen, right? That's the most truth. And then things that are sort of written officially along with the games is kind of second truth. And then other things that are written or done outside of that. There are a number of things outside of those, whether they're spin-off things or somebody answering on the internet. Those things are kind of third place. And when you go do something new, you kind of look back over that and you say, okay, how much do I want to lean in on this truth down here versus this other one? Or if you have a really, really good idea or you want to move things forward in some way, how do you acknowledge that while still moving things forward? And it, obviously it can be tricky when some of those things refute